Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into something a lot of you have been asking about: fix and flip real estate. And let me tell you, those before and after shows, they barely scratch the surface. We're talking budgeting, permits. I even saw a list of 50 tasks involved. It's a lot. But luckily, we have our expert here who can help us break it all down, see what's really important, for someone who's actually thinking about doing this.
Yeah, those shows definitely make it look a lot simpler than it is. There's so much more to it than just picking out a nice backsplash, right? We need to think like detectives, carefully evaluating properties. We got to crunch those numbers to make sure it's actually a good investment.
Okay, detective hats on. So first things first, how do we even know if a house is a good fixer-upper? One of the sources you sent me said it needs significant repairs or renovations, but that seems kind of vague, right?
Yeah, it is pretty broad. That's why it's so important to really evaluate a property carefully. Like, it can be tempting to just jump at a low price, but you have to look beyond just like cosmetic stuff. Let's say you find a cute Victorian peeling paint and you think, easy fix, fresh coat of paint, and we'll make a killing. But what if under that peeling paint, there's a cracked foundation? Suddenly, you're not just talking about paint anymore, right? You're looking at major repairs, the kind that could wipe out your whole budget.
Oof, yeah, these problems are definitely scary. So how do we avoid those financial disasters? How do we make sure we're making smart choices?
That's where the ARV comes in. After repair value, it's the estimated market value of the property. But after all the renovations are done, you can't just imagine what it could be worth. You got to be realistic. So think of it this way. Imagine you're selling a renovated 3-bedroom ranch in a specific neighborhood. To get that ARV, you got to look at what similar houses in that same neighborhood, similar condition, what they actually sold for recently.
So it's like real estate detective work. But instead of clues at a crime scene, we're looking at comparable properties. We're trying to figure out what the actual selling price could be.
Exactly. And one mistake I see a lot is people being way too optimistic about that ARV. They fall in love with a place, imagine all the cool renovations, and overestimate what buyers will pay. That can lead to losing money, even if the renovation goes perfectly.
Okay, so getting that ARV right is super important. But once we have a realistic number, how do we make sure we have the money to actually do it?
Well, a traditional mortgage might not be the best option for these kinds of projects, especially if the property needs a lot of work. The source actually mentioned some other options, renovation loans and HELOCs.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those, but honestly, I'm not really sure how they work.
Sure. So renovation loans, they're cool because they combine the purchase price and the renovation costs all into one loan, so it makes things a bit simpler. And then HEOCs, those are home equity lines of credit, and they let you use the equity you have in your current house to fund the project. They all have different requirements and interest rates, so it really depends on your situation. But it's good to know there are options, right? You don't have to be limited to just a regular mortgage.
Okay, that's good to know. So we've found a place that looks promising. We've crunched the numbers, got a financing plan. Now comes the fun part, actually fixing it up. But that list of 50 tasks is still kind of looming over me, I gotta admit.
Don't worry, we'll break it down. Think of it as 3 phases.
Yeah.
Pre-purchase, then the actual renovation, and then post-renovation. So even before you buy the place, there's a lot of detective work to do.
Okay, so pre-purchase, that's all about making sure we're not walking into a disaster, right? We're making sure we're not buying a money pit disguised as a charming fixer-upper. What are some things we should really focus on in that phase?
You got it. It's all about due diligence. And one thing that people often overlook but is so important is getting a professional home inspection. You might think you can spot problems yourself, but a good inspector can find hidden issues that would cost you a fortune later. Things like bad wiring, plumbing problems, even structural damage that you might not notice just by walking through.
Right. Okay, so professional inspection, non-negotiable. What else should we be looking at during this pre-purchase stage?
Checking those property disclosures is huge. Those documents, they tell you about any known problems with the property so you know what you're getting into. And it's smart to look into the neighborhood's history, too. Like, are there any zoning changes coming up that might affect your plans? Is there a history of flooding or other things that could affect the property's value?
Wow, it's like we're building a whole case file on this house.
Exactly. And another key task is analyzing those neighborhood comparables again. Remember those similar houses we talked about for the ARV? You want to dig deeper into those sales, not just look at the final price.
So what else should we be looking for?
Think about it like this. You're trying to understand what buyers in that specific neighborhood are willing to pay extra for. Did a house with a finished basement sell way faster than one without? Did a renovated kitchen add a lot of value? By understanding those little things, you can make smarter renovation choices and maximize your return on investment.
Okay, so pre-purchase is about being thorough, doing your research, making sure we're not walking into a trap. Let's say we've done all that, we feel good about the numbers, and we're ready to buy. Time for the renovation. Is this where that big list of 50 tasks comes in?
It does get detailed, but don't worry, we can handle it. And it's tempting to focus on the fun stuff, picking colors and fixtures. But some of the most important tasks are the ones that aren't as glamorous.
Like what? Give me an example of a task that's often underestimated.
Permitting. It might seem like a boring bureaucratic thing, but trust me, skipping permits can be a huge mistake. I knew an investor who thought he could save money by skipping a permit for some plumbing. Well, when the city inspector came for the final check, they found that unpermitted work. And he had to redo the whole plumbing system to meet the code, which ended up costing way more than the permit would have. Plus, it delayed the sale, so even more expenses.
Ouch. Yeah, that's a lesson I don't want to learn the hard way. So permits are essential, even if they seem annoying. What else should we prioritize during the renovation?
Choosing the right contractors is huge GE. Think of it like building a dream team. You want skilled, reliable people who get your vision and respect your budget. Don't just go for the lowest bid. Look for experience, quality work, and good communication skills.
It's like hiring for any important job, right? You want someone you trust, someone who understands what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly. And speaking of communication, make sure everyone on the project is on the same page. Hold regular meetings with your contractors, be clear about what you expect, and deal with any problems right away.
Good communication. That's a recipe for success in any project. So we've got permits, contractors, communication. What else do people often mess up during this phase?
Budgeting. It's so easy to get excited about design choices and end up spending way too much. Make a detailed budget, include everything, materials, labor, and a contingency fund for those unexpected expenses.
Contingency fund. I've heard that term, but I'm not really sure what it means.
Think of it as a safety net for those uh-oh moments that always seem to happen during renovations. Maybe you find hidden termite damage, or the price of lumber suddenly goes up, or your contractor runs into unexpected plumbing issues, things like that.
Yeah, I can see how those unexpected costs could add up fast. So how do we decide how much to put in this contingency fund?
A good rule of thumb is to set aside about 10–20% of your total budget. It might seem like a lot, but it's better to have it and not need it than be caught off guard and blow your budget.
That's a great tip. So we've navigated the pre-purchase phase like pros. We're managing the renovation, staying organized, and communicating well. What's next on this fix and flip adventure?
It's time to move into that post-renovation phase, where we shift gears from construction to marketing and sales.
Okay, so this is where we get to show off all our hard work, make that property shine, and attract those buyers.
Exactly. But even in this phase, there are tasks that often get overlooked or underestimated. And one that can make a huge difference in how quickly and for how much you sell is staging.
Staging. I've heard of it, but honestly, always seemed like an extra expense to me. Isn't it enough to just have a clean, well-lit property?
Think of it this way. Staging is like creating a movie set for your property. You're setting the stage for buyers to imagine themselves living there. A well-staged property can evoke emotions, create a sense of warmth, and ultimately make buyers more willing to pay top dollar.
Okay, I'm starting to see the power of staging. So it's not just about decluttering and cleaning, it's about creating an experience for potential buyers.
Precisely. And it's worth every penny because a well-staged property can sell faster and for a higher price, which ultimately boosts your profits.
All right, staging is officially on my radar now. But let's talk about the final hurdle, the moment of truth, selling the property. What advice do you have for navigating this final stage successfully?
Well, before we dive into the sales process, there's one more task I want to emphasize. One that's often overlooked, but can make a huge difference in how quickly and for how much you sell the property.
Okay, you've got my attention. What's this magical secret weapon?
Staging. I know we touched on it briefly earlier, but it's so important that it deserves its own spotlight. Think of staging as the finishing touch that transforms a house into a home, a space that buyers can emotionally connect with. It's about showcasing the property's potential, highlighting its best features, and creating a warm and inviting atmosphere that makes buyers say, I can see myself living here.
Okay, you've convinced me. Staging is more than just decluttering and cleaning. It's about creating an experience for potential buyers. But honestly, I'm a bit intimidated by the thought of staging. It seems like something that requires an artistic eye and a knack for interior design. Any tips for those of us who aren't exactly design gurus?
You don't have to be a professional designer to stage a property effectively. There are simple strategies you can use to create a big impact. Start by decluttering and depersonalizing the space. Remove any personal items, family photos, or clutter that might distract buyers from seeing the property's potential.
Okay, so decluttering and depersonalizing, that makes sense. It's about creating a neutral canvas for buyers to envision their own belongings in the space. What else can we do to enhance that blank canvas and create a more inviting atmosphere?
Think about the furniture placement. Arrange furniture in a way that creates a natural flow and highlights the best features of each room. And don't be afraid to use pops of color with pillows, throws, and artwork to add visual interest and create a sense of warmth.
Okay, furniture placement, pops of color. I'm starting to get the hang of this staging thing. But let's be honest, not everyone has a knack for interior design. Are there any resources available for those of us who might need a little extra help in the staging department?
Absolutely. There are professional home stagers who can transform your property into a showstopper. They have an eye for design, a knack for creating inviting spaces, and a deep understanding of what appeals to buyers. Hiring a professional stager can be a worthwhile investment, especially if you're short on time or lack confidence in your own staging abilities.
Okay, so if staging isn't our forte, we can always call in the experts. But whether we DIY it or hire a professional, it's clear that staging is a crucial step in showcasing the property's potential and attracting those eager buyers. So, the stage is set, the property is looking its best. And now it's time to face the final hurdle, selling the property and hopefully making a profit. What are your top tips for navigating this often intimidating world of real estate sales?
Well, before we jump into specific sales strategies, I want to emphasize the importance of choosing the right real estate agent to represent you in this process. A good real estate agent can make all the difference in how smoothly and successfully the sale goes.
Okay, finding the right real estate agent that's high on my priority list. What qualities should we be looking for in a real estate agent who specializes in fix and flips?
First and foremost, experience matters. Look for an agent who has a proven track record of successfully selling renovated properties in your target market. They should have a deep understanding of the local market trends, pricing strategies, and what buyers are looking for in that specific area.
So we want someone who knows the neighborhood like the back of their hand and can advise us on how to price the property competitively. What else should we be looking for in a real estate agent?
Strong marketing skills are essential. Your agent should have a comprehensive marketing plan that includes professional photography, virtual tours, online listings, and even social media promotion.
So it's not just about sticking a sign in the yard and hoping for the best. We need an agent who's proactive and knows how to showcase the property to the widest possible audience. What else should we consider when interviewing potential real estate agents?
Pay attention to their communication style. Do they listen attentively to your needs and concerns? Are they responsive to your questions and requests? Do they keep you informed throughout the process?
Okay, so good communication is a must-have, just like with contractors. It's all about finding someone we trust and feel comfortable working with. Any other qualities that set a great real estate agent apart from the pack?
Negotiation skills are crucial. Your agent should be a skilled negotiator who can effectively represent your interests and get you the best possible price for your property.
So we want someone who can play hardball, but also maintain a professional and respectful demeanor throughout the negotiation process.
Exactly. And one final tip when choosing a real estate agent: trust your gut. Go with someone you feel comfortable with, someone who understands your goals, and someone you believe will be a strong advocate for you throughout the sales process.
Okay, so we found the perfect real estate agent. Someone who's experienced, a marketing whiz, a skilled negotiator, and someone we trust implicitly. Now it's time to put the property on the market and attract those eager buyers. What are your top tips for making our listings stand out in a crowded real estate market?
Well, first and foremost, pricing is key, as we discussed earlier. But beyond pricing, professional photography is absolutely essential. High-quality photos that showcase the property's best features can make a huge difference in attracting buyers and generating interest.
Okay, so professional photography is a must-have. It's like creating a visual first impression that makes buyers want to see more. What else can we do to make our listing shine?
Craft a compelling property description that highlights the key features and benefits of the property. Use descriptive language that paints a picture of the lifestyle buyers can enjoy in that space.
So it's not just about listing the square footage and the number of bedrooms and bathrooms. It's about telling a story, evoking emotions, and making buyers feel like they can already see themselves living there.
Exactly. And don't forget about online marketing. Make sure your listing is prominently featured on popular real estate websites. And consider using social media to promote the property to a wider audience.
So it's about leveraging all the digital tools at our disposal to reach potential buyers wherever they are. Okay, the listing is up, the photos are stunning, the description is captivating. Now the offers start rolling in. What advice do you have for navigating the often stressful world of real estate negotiations?
First and foremost, stay calm and objective. It's easy to get caught up in the emotions of a negotiation. But remember, this is a business transaction. Keep your financial goals in mind, and don't be afraid to walk away if the offer doesn't meet your criteria.
So it's about keeping a cool head and making rational decisions, even when the pressure is on. Any other tips for navigating those back-and-forth offers and counteroffers?
Don't take anything personally. Remember, the buyer is simply trying to get the best possible price, just like you are.
Okay, so don't take it personally, it's just business. But what if the buyer's offer is ridiculously low? How do we respond without getting offended or emotional?
You can politely decline their offer and explain your reasoning. You can say something like, "Thank you for your offer, but based on recent comparable sales in the area, we believe the property is worth more."
Okay, so be polite but firm. And always back up your counteroffer with data and market research.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to accept the first offer that comes your way. Be patient, weigh your options, and don't be afraid to negotiate until you reach an agreement that feels fair and beneficial for both parties.
All right, so we've mastered the art of negotiation. We found a buyer who meets our criteria, and now it's time for the final step, closing the deal and celebrating our fix and flip success. Are there any potential pitfalls to be aware of during this final stage?
Yes, even during the closing process, things can sometimes go awry. It's important to stay organized, pay attention to deadlines, and address any issues promptly.
So it's not time to relax just yet. We need to stay vigilant and make sure everything is in order to ensure a smooth closing.
Exactly. And one final piece of advice. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If there's anything you don't understand or feel uncertain about, don't hesitate to reach out to your real estate agent, attorney, or title company for clarification.
Okay, so communication is key throughout the entire process, right up until the very end. Ask questions, stay organized, and dot those I's and cross those T's.
Well, I think we've covered just about every aspect of the fix and flip journey, from those initial pre-purchase jitters to the exhilaration of closing the deal. It's been an incredible ride, and I feel like we've learned so much. Is there anything else you want to share with our listener before we wrap up this deep dive? Any final words of wisdom for aspiring fix and flip investors? Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that fix and flip, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It takes, hard work, dedication, a willingness to learn and adapt.
Right. It's not just about picking pretty finishes and watching the money roll in. It's about being a smart investor, planning carefully, and mastering all those behind-the-scenes tasks. That's what makes a project really successful.
Exactly. And it's also about building those relationships with people you can trust, like, real estate agents, contractors, inspectors, people who can guide you and support you through the whole process.
Yeah, it really does take a village to flip a house successfully. But with the right mindset, the right team, and a good dose of determination, fix and flip can be incredibly rewarding financially and personally.
I couldn't agree more. And with that in mind, I have one final thought to leave you with, something that'll help you approach this whole journey with the right perspective and set yourself up for success.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's this golden nugget of wisdom?
We've talked a lot about the technical stuff, the numbers, the tasks, the strategies, but there's another side to fix and flip that often gets overlooked, but it's just as important. The human element.
The human element. I'm curious. We talked about building relationships with our team, but what other human aspects are we missing?
Well, think about the end goal of all this work. You're not just renovating a building, right? You're creating a space where someone will live their life, make memories, feel at home.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. It's easy to get caught up in the profit and forget that we're making homes for people.
Exactly. And that realization, it can be really powerful, actually. It can shift your focus from just making money to creating a space that you'd be proud to give to a family.
So it's about approaching each project with a sense of purpose, knowing that we're making a difference in someone's life.
Precisely. And that mindset can change everything, your design choices, the materials you use, even how you interact with your team. It turns it from just a business deal into something way more meaningful.
I love that. It's like we're not just flipping houses, we're flipping lives in a way. We're taking something neglected and giving it new life, a new purpose, a chance to become a home again.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And that brings me to another human element that people often forget about, the emotional roller coaster that comes with fix and flip.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Just listening to you talk about all this, I've felt excited, overwhelmed, a little stressed, even scared.
It's definitely a wild ride. There will be good times and bad times, moments of success and moments of doubt, and that's totally normal.
So it's important to be ready for those emotional ups and downs, to have ways to deal with them, and to have a supportive team who understands what we're going through.
Absolutely. And remember, every challenge you overcome, every problem you solve, every project you finish successfully, it builds your confidence and makes you more resilient as an investor.
So it's not just about the money, it's about how you grow as a person through this whole process.
Exactly. And with that in mind, I want to leave you with one last piece of advice. Something that brings together both the technical side and the human side of fix and flip.
Okay, lay it on me. What's this final wisdom?
Never stop learning. The real estate market, it's always changing. New trends pop up, unexpected problems happen. Stay curious, stay informed, and be ready to adapt your strategies as you go.
So it's not about finding one perfect formula and sticking to it no matter what. It's about being flexible, learning as you go, and constantly growing as an investor.
Exactly. Go to industry events, read books and articles, talk to other investors, and never be afraid to ask questions. The more you learn, the better you'll be able to navigate all the tricky parts of fix and flip and reach your goals.
Well, I think this deep dive has been amazing. It's given us a solid foundation to build on. We've explored the technical stuff, the strategies, and even the emotional side of it all. I feel inspired and ready to tackle my first fix and flip project.
That's awesome. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are tons of resources out there to help you and a whole community of investors who are happy to share what they know.
Yeah, it's like we've got a roadmap, a toolbox, and a cheerleading squad all in one. Thanks to you, I feel confident and excited about the possibilities.
It's been great sharing this journey with you, and I'm sure that with this knowledge and the right attitude, you'll do amazing things in the fix and flip world.
Thanks for being such a fantastic guide. You've made this whole process less mysterious.
My pleasure. And remember, the most important things you have are your own curiosity and determination. Never stop learning, never stop exploring, and never stop dreaming big.
That's the perfect way to end this. Thanks again for joining us on this Fix and Flip deep dive. And to you, dear listener, we wish you all the best in your real estate adventures. Until next time, happy flipping.